Selangor police bust largest SYABU raid this year. Six remanded in petrol station murder. Good evening, I'm Peter Carlos and you're watching News on 2. The police today seized 8 kilograms of SYABU and ketamine in 3 separate raids at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, Damansara and Petaling Jaya, amounting to more than 500,000 ringgit. Deputy Selangor Police Chief Dato' Abdul Rashid Abdul Wahab said this was the largest SYABU raid in Selangor this year. And Dato' Abdul Rashid said the drugs were believed to have been for the Taiwan market. 26 suspects aged between 14 and 39 are remanded to help investigation. And of the total, 12 were arrested in 2 separate raids in KLIA and Damansara.
Ini ialah dengan mengikat dadah pada badan suspek. Di samping itu juga sedikit ini punya fasiliti untuk bergerak ke hotel serta airport. Hotel tersebut digunakan untuk mudah aktiviti membalut dan membungkus dadah-dadah yang tak dibawa ke luar negara.
Meanwhile, the remaining 14 suspects, which include 9 from private institutes of higher learning and a foreign student, were arrested in another raid in Petaling Jaya. Well, 6 individuals, which included 1 woman, were remanded for 7 days, ending December 27, to enable investigation into the murder of a 44-year-old at a petrol station in Taman Pelangi, Johor Bahru last Sunday. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Nur Aisha Ahmad at the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court to facilitate investigations under Section 302 of the Penal Code. And Johor Police Chief Dato' Muhammad Khalil Kadir Muhammad earlier confirmed the arrest of 2 individuals, a woman aged 19 and a 22-year-old man in the surrounding areas of Johor. Meanwhile, 4 other men in their 20s were detained early today and also in the surrounding areas of Johor Bahru. On Sunday, the victim had stopped to pump his car tires when he was stabbed to death and twice ran over by a vehicle carrying 4 men at 7:30 p.m. Preliminary investigations reveal that the victim is the head of a secret society and his death was the result of a dispute between the 2 secret societies. Now, meanwhile, the body of the murdered victim has been brought to Malacca for burial after being placed at the Nirvana Memorial Center in Jalan Skudai for 3 days. His family members arrived as early as 8 a.m. today at the Nirvana Memorial Center before the body was taken into a hearse at about 9:50 a.m. And also seen were the victim's wife, believed to be a Vietnamese national, and his 3 sons, who later boarded a bus to accompany the body to Malacca. It is understood the victim was buried at a Chinese cemetery there since he was from Malacca. Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said on Monday that the murder was the result of a dispute and territorial control by 2 secret societies. The Port Dickson Magistrates Court today set January 16 next year for a case rementioned for a man charged with murdering a car wash center owner in September this year. And 29-year-old S. Susay was charged to have murdered and buried B. Sugamaran on September 13th at a cemetery in Kampung Sagar, Rantau Negeri Sembilan. However, no plea was recorded. The accused was charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which carries a mandatory death sentence upon conviction, and Magistrate Siti Khairah Abdul Razak set the date after the lawyer for the accused, Paul Krishnaraja, informed that the forensic and chemical report documents were not ready. And Sugamaran has reported to have been missing from his workplace in Ampangan, Seremban on September 13th. And his body was later found in November, buried at a Hindu-Christian cemetery in Siliau, Negeri Sembilan. Based on the preliminary investigation, the victim was believed to have been murdered after his relationship with the wife of the accused was revealed. The Education Ministry is ready to refine each proposal made to improve and create a unity between teachers and parents. This includes introducing the Parent-Guardian Code of Ethics proposed by the National Union of the Teaching Profession, or NUTP, to protect the welfare of teachers. Education Minister Dato Sri Mahathir Khalid said that a meeting between the ministry and NUTP will be held early January next year to discuss the matter.
Hal yang berkait dengan guru ni, kita mendahului guru-guru. Kita mendahului. Saya sedar yang berkaitan dengan kebajikan guru. Saya sedar hal yang berkaitan dengan perkara-perkara yang menitik beratkan perkara-perkara yang berkaitan dengan guru. Malah kita sentiasa terbuka dengan sama ada dengan union ataupun dengan kesatuan, dengan kongres guru untuk berbincang perkara-perkara. Ada banyak perkara, bukan satu perkara, bukan dua perkara. Dia berlapis-lapis.
Dato Sri Mahathir said this after an event in Padang Terap, Kedah. NUTP has recently urged the Education Ministry to implement the Parent Guardian Code of Ethics as soon as possible to protect the welfare of teachers nationwide. This is following the case of Cikgu Azizan, a teacher who was taken to court on the charge of injuring a student. The condition of several villages in Miri, which was hit by flash floods last night, is reported to be recovering. However, several areas in the interior remains flooded. Now, surveys in several areas, including Kampung Batu, Satu Kuala Baram, Kampung Wireless and Kampung Senadin Jaya, have found that the water has receded and a cleanup process is actively underway. Miri Fire and Rescue Department Chief Superintendent Law Po Kyong said villagers from 28 families of the Rumah Atam Long House in Long Tisam, Ulu Baram was reported to have been cut off from the main road since the road heading to the area was flooded. Areas in Mulu besides Long Loyang and Long Sepiling in Baram are reportedly still flooded but under control. Meanwhile, the flood waters in Long Miri, Long Berian, Long Sobeng and Long Lelang, Baram have receded. The Election Commission, or EC, has agreed to assign 4 additional categories of postal voters and the facility to vote via post. And the 4 categories are members of the Civil Defence Force, or APM, Immigration Department, the National Disaster Management Agency, or NADMA, and members of the National Registration Department in charge of the Urban Transformation Centre, or UTC, only. And according to a statement issued by EC Chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Hashim Abdullah, the facility will be given to personnel on duty during polling day only. This can be justified by the fact that the members concerned are also voters who cannot leave their posts on polling day in order to ensure the safety and service to the people voting. This facility will also be implemented in the 14th general election and was gazetted on December 13th, 2017, based on the regulations of the election or polling station in 2013. Plus Malaysia Berhad, or Plus, is offering a 20% rebate to holders of its Plus Miles card on Christmas Day. In a statement, its Chief Operating Officer, Zakaria Ahmad Zabidi, also said that touch-and-go card holders will also be able to enjoy a rebate of 10% on the same day. Now, this year, the toll rebate is being given to Class 1 vehicles for those driving a distance of 100 kilometers or more at all Plus toll plazas. And according to Zakaria, on December 25th, motorists will still have to pay the usual toll rate, adding that the 20% and 10% rebate will only be included in the Plus Miles or touch-and-go cards when they reload their cards at all Plus customer service outlets between January 15 until April 14th, 2018. However, these rebates do not apply to transactions at the Bukit Kayu Hitam, Sultan Iskandar, Tanjung Kupang and Penang Bridge toll plazas. Well, coming up next, EPF reverts to 11% from January. Stay with us. In Biz Today, the employees' statutory contribution to the Employees' Provident Fund, or EPF, will revert to the original 11% for members below age 60 and 5.5% for those aged 60 and above, with effect from January 2018. Now, the EPF today said this would be implemented in the February 2018 EPF contribution. And the reduction of contribution rate was announced by the government in 2016 following the tabling of the revision of Budget 2016 by Prime Minister Dato Seri Najib Tun Razak. RAZAK. The reduction of the statutory contribution was started for the March 2016 salary April contribution. The EPF said the latest contribution rates for employees and employers can be referred to the third schedule, EPF Act 1991, and members who wish to contribute more than the statutory rate of 11% or 5.5% may do so by completing Form KWSB 17A AHL or Form KWSB 17A-A AHL. The One Malaysia People's Aid, BRIM, introduced in 2012, has been adopted by the Saudi Arabian government, and now Egypt is the latest country to express interest to implement the economic model. And Deputy Finance Minister Dato' Othman Aziz said the acceptance by the two Middle East countries proved BRIM, the brainchild of Prime Minister Dato' Sri Najib Tun Razak, was a viable economic model proven to assist the less fortunate group.
Satu program yang cukup murni, program yang diterima kalau di peringkat negara kita dah menjadi satu dasar yang diterima pakai oleh masyarakat, terutama golongan berpendapatan rendah. Apatah lagi sebenarnya model ini sedang dikaji dengan serius untuk dilaksanakan di Egypt.
Apart from BRIM, the Goods and Services Tax, GST, will also be introduced in the two countries soon. Dato' Uthman said this after handing over 200 sets of school supplies in the form of bags, clothes and stationery to 200 underprivileged students in Jerlun, Kedah. He also reminded members of the public who are eligible and have yet to update their data for BRIM to do so before December 31st at the nearest office of the Inland Revenue Board.
The Consumer Price Index, CPI, rose by 3.4% in November, mostly due to the hike in fuel prices. And the Statistics Department said the growth was led by transport, food and non-alcoholic beverages indices. The transport sector featured a 10.8% year-to-year on November 2017 after a 12.1% increase on October 2017 following the hike in fuel prices. The average price of 1 litre of raw 95 petrol was 2 ringgit and 30 sen in November 2017 as compared to 1 ringgit and 95 sen in November 2016. And as for raw 97, the average price increased to 2 ringgit and 59 sen in November 2017 as compared to 2 ringgit and 30 sen in November 2016. Fuels and lubricants for personal transport equipment accounted for 7.8% of the CPI weight. And in the case of food items, which recorded notable increases compared with a year ago, it said cuttlefish and long beans accounted for the strongest increases at 13.5% and 13.4% respectively. Now, the US dollar or USD Malaysian ringgit exchange rate remained stable with USD 1 month implied volatility at an average of 4.5% this year. In its updates on the financial market statement, Bank Negara Malaysia or BNM's Financial Markets Committee, FMC, noted that the ringgit had strengthened by 10.1% in 2017 and traded within the range of 4.05 to 4.09 against the US dollar in December. Now, the statement said that liquidity has also improved in the onshore market and is able to meet the hedging needs of both residents and non-residents. The onshore foreign exchange market in 2017 sustained a daily average volume of $9.9 billion US dollars compared to $8.1 billion US dollars in 2016. Now, the central bank also mentioned that the Malaysian bond market continues to attract investors' interest, and the last 3 primary auctions of government bonds recorded participation from diverse types of investors. BNM and FMC will continue to engage with market participants and remain focused on creating a conducive and orderly financial market environment to facilitate businesses for the benefit of the economy. Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, is expected to raise its overnight policy rate, or OPR, by 25 basis points to 3.25% in the first half of 2018. Affin Hwang Capital Research, in its research note, announced that the increase is due to the anticipated strong economic growth momentum, which is currently supported by a good global economy. And the next BNM monetary meeting will be held on January 25th, 2018. However, AMIN Huang is not expecting any change in the OPR rate in early January, but instead by the middle of next year. The last time the OPR rate was raised was on July 10th, 2014 by 25 basis points. At BNM's monetary operations continue to ensure that there are sufficient liquidity to support the money market and foreign exchange markets to function properly. The government is confident of achieving its target of 5 million hectares of permanent forest reserve land by the year 2020. And Peninsular Malaysia Forestry Department Director General Dato' Nur Akhiruddin Mahmud said at present the land size for permanent forest reserve land was 4.9 million hectares. And speaking in Kuala Lumpur today, Dato' Nur Akhiruddin said various efforts are being made to ensure that the remaining target of 1 million hectares would be achieved. He added that the target could be achieved through mapping projects of the forest areas using satellites and drones to identify the area with potential as permanent forest reserves. Now, a proposal paper will be submitted by the department to the Economic Planning Unit in the Prime Minister's Department in March and hope that the project can be implemented at the latest by next year. Dato' Nur Akhiruddin said the department was in the midst of implementing land restorative programs in 3 areas which were affected by erosion, namely Cameron Highlands, Lembangan Sungai Kelantan and Jandabai. And under the 11th Malaysia Plan for the 5-year period from 2016 to 2020, the government has allocated 100 million ringgit for rehabilitation and restoration of forest areas in the peninsula. And that concludes this evening's news on 2. And our top story, largest SYABU raid in Selangor worth over 500,000 ringgit. Now do join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching and good night.